Trevs Review Show here on Trev TV. I know it's been a while. It always has been, especially when I come back to here. Know that I actually do intend on making more than just 2 videos this month for this channel, but either way, I'm the Trev. It's too sweet. Anyway, come at you with a review show because the other video I have in mind, which I'm probably filming after this, I'm not 100% sure I'm ready to do yet. So I'll give you something else. I'll give you my review, song by song, of an album I've fallen back in love with all over again. And it's strange between listening to it lately compared to how I listened to it initially. I think my reactions are completely different now that I understand this album a lot more better. Anyway, Plastic Ono Band by John Lennon. Let's talk about it. Just a brief little background on this. And this is something my boy is always going to have on me. This album came out December 11th, 1970. So why is he going to have this on me? Well, this album came out 49 years before he was born. So there's that. And that does make me a bit jealous. But either way, it's John Lennon's first real solo record away from the Beatles. And if you're expecting a Beatles record upon your first listen, you're probably in for a great surprise. Because I know I was when I first heard it the first time. 11 songs, and loosely this album was made at the same time he was going through primal therapy. If you're unaware with what that is, look it up. It'd take much too long for me to try and explain it, especially since I have a barely firm grasp on it as it is. But it deals with a lot of things. Abandonment issues, class division, but love is still there. Always is. And yeah, it's something I think we should talk about. So let's talk about it. So speaking of primal therapy, the song Mother comes from that. And that is more or less an open letter to his mom and his dad, essentially. And it starts off really neat with the 4 funeral bells. I'm still trying to figure out if that was more in a recognition of the breakup or if that was more for his mother, who sadly passed away when they were just developing a renewed relationship. It's a song that'll definitely stick in your head, especially if you're attracted to the screaming vocals near the end where John blows his voice out. I don't know if he did or not, but I'd imagine after that kind of screaming, you probably would have. It's a song I can dig. Hold On is your second song, and it's very mellow. Lyrically, it reminds me of something like, more of like an encouragement kind of song, like hold on, everything's going to be all right. And I'm probably not wrong in that assertion. I'm not 100% sure, but it's a nice mellow tune. For me, I listen to it occasionally, not as religiously as other songs, but it's still a good song. I'll give it that. So with the song I Found Out, lyrically, it talks about disillusionment with more or less a world dominated by what he saw as false religion and idols and warns against being taken in such beliefs. But if you're there for the music, you're going to enjoy Ringo on the drums. Yes, Ringo's on this record. Very catchy tune. Very catchy tune. And I find myself listening to it a lot. More or less because Ringo invites me every time when that song comes on. And I can't say no. So it's not a skipper. It might be a feeler for some, but it's a good song all the same. So Working Class Hero, and it might be a case of probably overhearing it too much in my end. I really appreciate it on the first listen, and lyrically it is a very political song talking about class division, being born and then going to working class, the middle class, and being fed to the machine and all that stuff. But lyrically, it's a great song. Melodically, it feels like a hippie jam. It really does. Not that that's a bad thing. I don't know. I think if you would have included something like Instant Karma in this place, it might have worked a little better, but it's not that I don't like the song. I do. It almost feels like it was just put in the wrong spot on the album, which in a sense kind of hurts it, but it's still a great song all the same. Isolation's a great song. It's moodier, yes, melodically and lyrically, because lyrically it's a very post-breakup song, breakup from the Beatles, and with the attacks him and Yoko Ono were facing at the time, it left a lot of insecurity. So, best thing to do was go into isolation, and lyrically it comes out really well. If you're looking for one that you really want to read the lyrics and interpret it, this is your song. And it's a good song. It always has been in my mind. I'll never say anything bad about it. Remember is one of my favorite tracks off this album, off any John Lennon album for that matter. I know a lot of the experts don't like it, but I love it. It's another one of those primal therapy songs, and it deals with lyrics reflecting things you typically remember in therapy. Some things good, some things unpleasant, but the piano and Ringo's drums and Klaus's bass, Klaus Bormann's on the bass, I don't know if I've mentioned that till now, it makes for a very neat experience to listen to from beginning to end. And at the end, when he brings up Remember the 5th of November and gives you a nice little fake explosion at the end, it's a nice little tap into what might have been. Something to think about anyway. Highly recommend this song. Really do. So for the song Love, it speaks for itself. The title is your topic, and what else is there to say on it? I mean, it's another slow melody, and the typical kind of Lennon ballad. And I don't know if you know my opinion on ballads, but this one fits. This one fits nicely. So not a bad thing to say about that. Well. Lyrically is more a song about life, about daily life, about mundane daily life. With his screaming at the end, with Ringo's blistering drum tracks, I'm sure he didn't get blisters that time. It's a good rocker. It definitely is a great rocker, but not one that I really grow attached to, meaning I skip it more times than I listen to it. But still an okay song. Fits the album nicely. Can't really be disappointed by it at all. It's a great song. Look at Me is something that was left over from the White Album, if you can believe that. And it's not hard to understand why. I mean, it's stuck in the same finger-picking style that he only ever really used on the White Album, more specifically with like Dear Prudence, Happiness is a Warm Gun, Julia, etc. They learned from Donovan and held on to it until this album. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay if you skip this one too, because what's after this is probably, for me, the MVP of this album. But I still like the song. I just can't wait to get to the next one. God, this is an amazing breakup song. And I've been in love with it since I first heard it. I'll never skip this track. This is like the 5 stars of this album to me. Lyrically, he's given up on all the things he used to believe in, including the Beatles, including Elvis, including Dylan, Kennedy, all those things. Says he's not the walrus, or he was the walrus, but now he's John. He believes in John and Yoko, and that's reality. The addition of Billy Preston on the piano on this song, helps it out so much. Again, a piano medley, but you have to expect that with a lot of Lennon songs. A lot of Lennon songs are piano based and worth to listen to if you've never listened to it. So we close out the album with My Mummy's Dead, which is just 52 seconds of John singing about his mummy's dead in the tune of Three Blind Mice in the key of C sharp major. It's a neat little way to close out the album. You start the album with a song about mother. You close the album with My Mummy's Dead. It's a neat little way to close it, I would say, and that's about it. I mean, for its length of time, you and I both know it's just a closer, so it's not something you might want to grow attached to unless you're into short songs like that. But for its place, it fits well. So I guess it's the part where I have to give you my rating, my 5-star ratings. On the whole, this is an amazing album. I mean, it's nothing heavy. There are heavier moments, but it's more or less what you make this album out to be, and it's got a lot of good stealers. For as many hits as it has, Mother, Working Class Hero, God, you have your Remember, you have Isolation, and that's just off the top of my head. Because I found out. There you go. Now I broke it up to even 6. Start to finish, it's a great album. I mean, there are skippers, so we'll dock it at least a half a point for having a couple skippers. But if you've never listened to it, give it a listen. I highly recommend it. And if it's not your thing, it's not your thing. But if you do end up enjoying it, you're welcome. So on my album ratings, which is only 4 at this moment, we have a new number 1. So that's Trev's Review Show here on Trev TV. I want to thank you for tuning in. Don't think I don't appreciate the gesture, especially if you're at this point. Do yourself a solid. If you're not a person to pick up physical copies, I'll have a link to where you can stream the album here on YouTube. It's worth the listen. It really is. But either way, if you like this video, give me a like. That red button, you know what it does. You know what I want to happen. We're exactly 30 from my hockey show. And to everybody who's jumped on lately, thank you very much. Despite my lack of content, know that I am giving you something. More than just this. I'm planning on working on both channels aggressively this month. So just hoping that can translate into really good stuff. But either way, socials in the description down below. Either way. In the meantime, in between time, be looking for more videos from Trev. Later.